If you're hiring in Florida, there's something you can't afford to get wrong: your background checking process. One compliance mistake, one missed step in the adverse action process, or one misunderstanding of the local ban the box rule could expose your company to fines, lawsuits, and serious reputational damage. And in 2026, Florida hiring laws are more complex than ever. Hi, I'm Matt Rodgers, the founder of iprospectcheck, a background screening company for employers and job seekers. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how employment background checks work in Florida, what laws you need to be aware of, and the smartest way to protect your company while still making strong hiring decisions. Let's jump in. Let's start with what a Florida employment background check actually is. At its core, a Florida employment background check helps you verify that a candidate is who they say they are, and that their history aligns with the responsibilities of the job. Depending on the role, a background check may include an identity verification, criminal record searches, employment and education verifications, professional license checks, motor vehicle records, drug testing, and more. In Florida, you'll often hear about Level 1 and Level 2 screenings. Level 1 checks are typically name-based, state-level searches. Level 2 checks are fingerprint-based and processed through state and federal databases. These are required for roles involving vulnerable populations like healthcare, education, and certain public sector jobs. If you're hiring in regulated industries, understanding the difference is critical. Now, let's talk about why background checks matter so much in Florida. Florida employers use background checks for more than just confirming resumes. They're also about creating a safe workplace, reducing negligent hiring risk, protecting your sensitive data and other assets, and staying compliant with federal and local laws. For example, if you're hiring for safety-sensitive roles, regulated by the Department of Transportation, DOT-compliant background checks and drug testing aren't optional. And under Florida's federal E-Verify requirement, all private employers with 25 or more employees, along with all public employers, contractors, and subcontractors, must use E-Verify to confirm employment eligibility within 3 days of hiring. The key is consistency. Inconsistent screening processes are one of the biggest risks that we see across multi-location employers. Let's take a minute to break down some of the key legal requirements that apply to you as a Florida employer. First, the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Before you run a background check, you must provide a standalone disclosure, obtain written consent, and if you're considering not hiring based on the results, you must follow the adverse action process. Skipping steps here is one of the fastest ways to trigger a lawsuit. Next, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, specifically Title VII. This act prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. Background check use must not create unlawful disparate impact. An example of a policy that can create disparate impact would be any policy that restricts employment opportunities based on the presence of any criminal record. This is commonly referred to as a bright lines policy. Federal guidance requires individual assessment for any potential disqualifying record. And beyond federal law, you also need to pay attention to local fair chance and ban the box rules across Florida. Florida does not have a statewide ban the box law for private employers. However, several cities have adopted fair chance or ban the box policies that apply to public employers. For example, in Orlando, public city employers must wait until after making a conditional job offer before conducting a criminal background check. In Jacksonville, public employers cannot ask about criminal history on the initial job application and must delay background checks until after making a conditional offer. Applicants also have the right to appeal if they're denied employment based on the results. In Miami and Miami-Dade County, public employers must remove criminal history questions from job applications and wait until a conditional offer has been extended before running a background check. What does this mean for employers? If you're a private employer, these rules generally don't apply, except in Gainesville, where the Fair Chance Hiring Ordinance covers certain private employers with 15 or more employees. But if you contract with local government agencies or operate in multiple jurisdictions, your hiring process must align with the local ordinance where the job is located. This is where multi-location employers run the risk of unintentionally falling out of compliance. So how do you actually put all this into practice? Here are steps I recommend if you're hiring in Florida. Create a comprehensive written screening policy. Use legally compliant consents and provide all mandated disclosures. This is a great opportunity to use legal counsel. Train your HR team on compliance and the adverse action steps. Tailor screenings to the responsibilities of each role. Delay criminal history checks until later in the hiring process if possible. Always conduct individualized assessments when necessary, and follow compliant adverse action procedures and partner with a compliance-focused experienced screening provider. The goal is to make consistent, compliant hiring decisions backed by clear documentation and sound judgment. Here's the bottom line. Florida employment screening is not a simple landscape, but it's manageable with the right processes and the right partner. At iprospectcheck, we help employers across Florida conduct fast, accurate, and fully compliant background checks tailored to their industry and local requirements every day. If you're ready to strengthen your background screening process, reach out to iprospectcheck and let us show you how we can simplify this seemingly monumental task. I hope you found something in this video helpful, and if you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more information.